Welcome into the top 11 weather events of 2024. I'm WTOL 11 Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers, along with the rest of the WTOL 11 weather team. We're here with an exciting review of the year that was, with weather events that were truly incredible, including many celestial events.
All right, so let's jump right into the excitement as our team has compiled the top weather events and a few honorable mentions that make this year stand out like no other.
Well, just barely making the cut, coming in at number 11 was the wettest April all time in Toledo's recorded history. The monthly rainfall total topped the charts at 7.94 inches of precipitation with 18 days of measurable rainfall over the month. No joke, April 1st started the month with 1.26 inches of rainfall. The wettest day was April 11th with 2.67 inches of rain.
And waterlogged farm fields led to a delay of several weeks in the spring planting season, and swollen rivers pushed to the brink of flood stage across many waterways in northwest Ohio and southern Michigan. Now, despite the extremely wet month of April, no major flooding was reported over the course of the month. And in addition to the wet weather, temperatures were above average for the month of April.
And while April was known for wet weather, it once again was failed to record any measurable snow for the month. And coming in at number 10 on the list, top weather events of 2024 was the record-shattering tornado season across Ohio. A total of 73 tornadoes shattered the state record for the most tornadoes in a year.
Now, this incredible record was broken by July 1st, halfway through the year. It was a very early start to the tornado season for several of those twisters tore across the state in February and March. Of course, the most memorable of those included the deadly and devastating EF3 tornado that struck the community of Indian Lakes down in Logan County.
Yeah, this EF3 tornado was on the ground for 32 miles. Fortunately, resulting in 3 fatalities. The 73 total tornadoes in Ohio tops the previous record of 62 tornadoes, which was set back in 1992. Also a very active year for tornadoes here in northwest Ohio. From tornadoes to an outbreak of severe weather on August 27th. This coming in at number 9 all across northwest Ohio and southern Michigan. The sweltering late summer heat sent heat index soaring over 100 degrees. Into the afternoon hours, it was a combination of heat and humidity that came to an explosive boiling point of severe weather across much of the area.
Yeah, it was really interesting. A continuous line of severe storms belted the area with high winds and large hail. In fact, 66-mile-an-hour wind gust was reported at Toledo Express Airport, and the community of Grand Rapids was especially hit hard with power knocked out for the entire area.
But what made this event so unbelievably memorable was the brilliant double rainbow and electric lightning strikes made for a postcard appearance. This afternoon, a severe weather quickly turned into a dazzling display of anvil crawler lightning bolts over vivid displays of rainbows.
And when the storms were happening, I remember how quickly these photos were coming in, not just 1 or 2, but from all across the area since the storm came across. And Matt, I remember some of the most incredible weather images that we've gotten in from viewers.
Yeah, exactly. I never imagined that we could see lightning and a rainbow in one picture, honestly.
And I think that was the most incredible image that we saw right here. It was this one where it just was a slow exposure moment where that rainbow, and in some instances a double rainbow, was illuminated by an electric lightning bolt. And this was after a day of widespread severe weather. It was a beautiful end to the evening.
This is the way that we like to see it. And, you don't like to see the storms, but beautiful photos like that. That's something you would see from like a professional photographer with multiple images kind of overlaid on top of each other.
Exactly.
Not just from
I think I'm going to use that as our desktop background at work.
I like that.
Good idea.
All right, coming in at number 8 on our list, don't sweat the small stuff. Have a little fun with science. In a summer drought, which became severe in late August, a surge of heat and humidity in the peak of the growing season brought, corn sweat to the area. Common in late summer, this is moisture released by mature corn crops, which can actually, mind-blowingly, exceed 3,000 gallons of moisture released into the atmosphere per day each acre, increasing the moisture content of the atmosphere. Chris, I feel like we need our nerd glasses on right now, Ryan.
You just about broke the internet when you shared this this phenomenon happening this summer. Chris absolutely loved this. It leads to a more humid feeling or mugginess, especially late in the season, right here in the heart of the Corn Belt region. corn sweat.
We know it because we live here and we embrace science and we have fun with it.
Yeah, certainly felt that humidity. You know, early summer is hot, but a little bit more of a dry heat. And then July and August, you feel that corn sweat or evapotranspiration, if we want to be total nerds about
Speaking of nerd glasses, all right.
I can confidently say it felt like Louisiana outside.
Really?
And you would know.
I would know, but it was humid.
You're
and
the
muggy.
master of those triple-digit heat index
Exactly.
values. Something that does happen here in Northwest Ohio, especially late in the season.
Oh, yeah.
But that is something we will remember over the course of this summer season.
Ugh. That's just not pleasant. But you know what? Before we head to break, something very interesting that I do want to showcase with you. We talked about a lot of interesting things this time of year. We had again, corn sweat. We saw measurable tornadoes as well. We also saw a bunch of other wonderful stuff as well. Some memorable things that we will be mentioning coming up right after this.
Yeah, take a look at this. Matt's surprise encounter
Oh, boy.
out at Maumee Bay State Park. Matt, you're going to have to take us through this.
Yeah.
This, speaking of breaking the internet, you did it earlier in February.
I guess you can call me a donkey whisperer because, these donkeys came out of absolutely nowhere. And, I was like, I just had to, meet them, kill the animosity with the donkeys and, just be able to meet them. And they were pretty great, honestly.
Do you know their names?
I remember one was Tyrion. So it was a mother donkey and a son donkey, but outside of that, I can't remember. But it was truly a fun and hilarious experience.
What an honorable mention. John, next up.
Yeah, when we come back, while this didn't impact Northwest Ohio directly, it did send Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers into the eye of the hurricane. We'll be right back. Welcome back in for memorable events of 2024 down, and now we look at number 7 on this year's countdown.
Yeah, back-to-back Florida hurricanes Helene and Milton ravaged the Sunshine State in just less than 2 weeks. With the threat Milton posed as a major hurricane, Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers was dispatched to our sister station for assistance. Chris, what was this experience like?
Hey, that's some of my video right there. I had to stand outside in the midst of a landfalling major Category 3 hurricane. Most of what I did was in the studio to assist our sister station. The thing that I really take away with this, not only how the people prepare for this, but how it truly does impact their lives. I was sitting there in the studio and I was working and my ears started popping.
Really?
Wow.
And I just said, wait a minute. I know what that is.
Yeah.
It was the rapid drop in barometric pressure, and for about 2 or 3 hours, I could feel that pressure on my ears. Truly an incredible experience, and the tropics that we see down there are connected to our area, of course, not only with the damage and devastation, but with the weather impacts as well. Unbelievable. So it did go from a rapid intensification from a Category 1 to a Category 5 in less than 24 hours. Max winds at one point did reach 180, and it did make landfall as a Category 3 hurricane.
All right, an experience we know you won't soon forget. Chris, number 6, not only a memorable one, but also a dry one. Ohio saw one of the driest seasons on record. Every local county saw moderate drought conditions or worse.
Yeah, how about this? 87 out of 88 Ohio counties saw dry conditions in September, meaning 11.5 million Ohioans were impacted from the drought. And Ohio saw its first sign of drought the week of June 18th and went 25 weeks, and by the way, is still counting under that drought. And 13 of those weeks were parts of Ohio were under that exceptional drought.
Yeah, this is the worst drought Ohio has seen in over 20 years. September 2024 is one of the driest months the state has ever recorded. The last time the Toledo area saw this bad of a drought was between May and June of 1988, where hardly an inch of rain fell. This past September, Toledo saw 0.76 inches of rainfall.
John, due to the risk of fire and fire bans were issued for 28 Ohio counties, the last time Ohio was in a drought was the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024. This was during the winter, so conditions were different.
At number 5, there were some memorable tornadoes this past spring, and this one really still just amazes me. On March 5th, we did see a landspout tornado down in Putnam County where it caused some damage to a single structure outside of Lipsick. And right here, then over a week later, there were tornadoes that touched down in Hancock County. This one that you just saw right there was just outside of Genera toward Bluffton. And this was the one in Putnam County, that landspout tornado that did do damage to a structure that was fairly significant.
Yeah, and in Hancock County, the tornado was an EF1 with winds up to 105 miles per hour, a max width of 100 yards, and was on the ground for 3¼ miles.
Continue that storm in Crawford County. There was an EF2 tornado where winds gusted up to 120 miles an hour. Max width was 250 yards was on the ground for over 10 miles.
And then on May 7th, another round of tornadoes pushed through the area. This one in Paulding County, there was an EF0 and an EF1 tornado. And then in Putnam County, it was determined that there was an EFU tornado.
Wow, that's something you don't hear often is EFU. This is unknown. For example, no actual damage was done from this tornado as it was in the middle of a field for its track.
Yeah, it was a very busy tornado season as we recapped 73 total tornadoes in the Buckeye State, and it started early in our spring season. The video there, and I was really amazed. That was early March right there, that land spout tornado, winds to about 70 miles per hour on that one. All right, before we head to break, another honorable mention. How about a dramatic late July water spout captured over Lake Erie? This was on July 25th. The video was captured that morning very early, a very photogenic water spout that roped its way offshore from Marblehead.
And you know, I gotta say, this was a really cool birthday present, I might add.
Oh,
we ordered it up for you.
Yeah.
Because that's, who wouldn't want to order a very harmless water spout that's just off in the distance?
Exactly.
A beautiful way.
It was gorgeous. Maybe not for my next birthday, though. Give me some sunshine next time. But when we come back next on our countdown, coming in at number 4, this is far from an alien encounter. How about a massive shelf cloud that visits northwest Ohio and southern Michigan? Stay tuned.
Welcome back. We're over halfway through our list of memorable events of 2024. Now let's check out number 4. The morning of June 25th between 8 and 10 a.m., a massive shelf cloud made its way across southern Michigan and northwest Ohio. It was one of the most dramatic displays of a shelf cloud in quite some time, giving many people a show.
Now, this cloud formed from a decaying complex of thunderstorms that had encountered a relatively stable morning atmosphere. This wave-like feature is from gusty winds forcing air to rise along a leading edge of a gust front.
Ryan, to take us through, you were working this morning as this sight unfolded over downtown Toledo.
It was an amazing sight. We watched it come in. You can see the time lapse. This is looking off to the west. And the view of this was simply incredible.
Unbelievable.
And when we say it almost looks like an alien encounter, we had people asking, what in the world is going on? We don't see scenes like that.
It just envelops the whole horizon, and you can see where that name shelf cloud is derived from.
Exactly.
You know, we get weather events that may only happen in a county here or a city there. This swept across all of northwest Ohio and southern Michigan.
What a view. Speaking of making a desktop background, there you go. Look at that.
Ooh, need a rotation.
This view was down in Wood County here, that shelf cloud that was visible again for all counties in northwest Ohio and southern Michigan. A very, very picturesque sight. All right, John, next up.
Coming in at number 3, this was at the beginning of the year in January where we saw a major windstorm which caused western Lake Erie to disappear. Now, it didn't go anywhere, but because of the strong winds that were blowing from the west-southwest, the water was pushed out of the Maumee Bay and into eastern Lake Erie.
This exposed the bottom of western Lake Erie, what's known as a seiche, during a major windstorm that ramped up early Saturday morning on January 13th. The water levels in western Lake Erie dropped nearly 9 feet in just 24 hours. You're looking at some amazing photos here. This from Ann Bella there, and also Justin sending these photos in of, you don't see this often, a barren bottom of Lake Erie.
That's Cullen Park right there. You can't see water as far as the eye can see, and these really amaze me. You guys are very familiar with the Lake Erie Islands. Barry Kohler was out exploring the Lake Erie Islands, exposed a landscape that is typically underwater and really has been for hundreds of years, and we were able to visually see that. It's a familiar sight here up in Put-in Bay as some of the ground floor, so to speak, was exposed up toward the Lake Erie Islands.
Oh,
So
wow,
that's
look at
our side of the lake, right? On the other side, waves up to 20 feet after the winds on that side reach 60 to 70 miles an hour.
That is incredible. That is Sterling State Park there. We have another photo from Sterling State Park. And a lot of questions came into me. What happens when the water comes back? Well, here's a little video of what happened as well.
This is incredible.
As the seiche then recedes or comes back, Jordan Howard was out there on a bitterly cold morning and actually captured that water returning back. A slower rate, but still, I was really caught off guard by how rapid it started to come back into the area.
Oh, that's really cool. Now, how about for our runner-up choice for memorable weather events? It's something that doesn't happen often in the Midwest. We saw them several times. The Northern Lights. This happened in May, August, September, and October, they were bright colors that danced across the sky.
And in the middle of May, an extreme G5 geomagnetic storm happened, and the northern lights were visible in all 50 states. This was the strongest solar storm in over 2 decades. So strong solar storms again on August 12th, September 17th, once again showed we are nearing the peak of an active solar cycle.
And some people live a lifetime without seeing the northern lights, and we had about a handful of opportunities. This year in October, we witnessed yet another and perhaps one of the best dazzling G4 to near G5 geomagnetic storms that dazzled the night sky, and people were ready for this one as it was really a brilliant display. How about this from over Lake Erie from Dave Tidrick, showing those northern lights that were just dancing for really not only just minutes, for much longer.
We've had geomagnetic storms before. None have put on a display quite like this. We say it overachieved. Look at that. That's that dancing effect that you were talking about.
Beautiful.
A few more photos here kind of to pass along. Matt, what was your kind of reaction seeing this? Growing up in Louisiana, probably northern lights were never something that you dreamed of.
Never thought I'd imagine this. And as soon as the pictures started to come in through our emails, I told my girlfriend, get in the car, let's go to Maumee Bay, and we was able to see some beautiful sights.
So you did have an experience out there at Maumee Bay. These pictures right here, was this the night you were out there, October 10th?
Yes. Amazing.
That is incredible. The views that you had from our very backyard on the shores of Lake Erie and all across Northwest Ohio truly make this one an incredible event. It's hard to say that something could top seeing the northern lights,
but there might.
4 times.
Yep, there might be one event, though, and that's the moment is near that we're all waiting for and ready to reveal the top event of 2024. Our team agrees that this event eclipses all of the others as it stands out as a once-in-a-lifetime event. Stay tuned. We're coming right back.
Welcome back in. We've now made it to the #1 biggest weather event in 2024, and we can all unanimously agree it is the total solar eclipse.
This one, we were just saying, had my hair standing up on my arms as it was happening. This really was a once-in-a-lifetime event. Of course, it was on April 8th, one of the rare dry days of April. Totality ranged anywhere from 90 seconds to almost 4 minutes in our area across the path of totality. This was the first total solar eclipse in Northwest Ohio in over 200 years.
Oh, wow, that's a long time. Now, during this total darkness, which is when the moon crossed in front of the path of the sun, the temperatures dropped and the planets came out. And
it was incredible.
It was chilly for some of us, but due to the sudden darkness, it caused some animals' behavior to change. And the total solar eclipse is a national spectacle of tens of millions for people.
Truly something none of us will ever forget. And let's take a stroll down memory lane and take a look at some really cool video from this day.
One sec, Matt, before we get to that too, while this image is up on the screen and get to the video, this is what I think is so incredible because we go to many elementary schools, even now to this day, and I recap just the dramatic sight that these students witnessed because they will never forget this. We visually could see the sun's corona, the outer atmosphere of the sun, and we're very fortunate. We know now because of the northern lights, we're in a very active solar cycle right now. We saw solar prominences that were very evident. You could see these with your visible eyes during totality. Those were solar eruptions of plasma coming from the sun. Only time you could see that without really special, intense equipment is during totality of a total solar eclipse. It was really an incredible event. And then, did you guys catch this as well? The diamond ring effect at the end?
Amazing.
Yes.
I was sad. I was told to pay attention for this, but I was sad when it happened.
It was beautiful.
Man, it was the end.
It did mean it was the end. It was the last moment before you knew that you probably would never see it here in Northwest Ohio.
Look at those solar
in your
flares
lifetime.
as well. So many people were saying they could see it with their eye. During the event, they're like, look, you can see the pink flares. Wow.
Yeah, that moment of taking the glasses off and enjoying totality was unlike anything we've ever experienced.
So, Matt, now give us your perspective on how people reacted to this because it really was something that brought everyone here in Northwest Ohio and Southern Michigan, at least if you were like by Luna Pier, that was the only spot in Michigan that was in totality, together on this event.
Yeah, so I was down in Springfield and, everybody was, get excited, talking and everything, but as soon as totality happened, you just hear utter silence of just people enjoying the moment and just taking it fully in. It was amazing.
Did anyone hear the crickets?
Yeah, you could hear the animals and they're kind of confused because they think that it's nighttime, not the middle of day.
And I was down at the Doy BGSU where we had a great gathering of people down there. And as soon as it happened, everybody, there was a little bit of an opposite reaction. Everybody, and then it died down, and then for the next about 3 minutes. Look at the field was full. I thought this was amazing by the university. I thought they were just going to open up the stands for people.
Right.
No, we were allowed to be on the field. Everybody brought blankets. You could lay down. That was an experience. I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. It was really cool. I had my son and my wife down there as well, and so to get to share with them
Look at the darkness.
this experience.
Wow. I'll never forget that. Look at how dramatic it was right
And then
there, the moment of totality.
360 sunrise effect, too.
That's really cool.
It was awesome. BG colors, too. All right. Good
You're
job.
not kidding. I'm getting chills right now reliving this. We had views similar to that downtown Toledo, as well as totality approached and darkness fell. This was our downtown time lapse as we headed toward totality. There it is. Just an incredible sight across Northwest Ohio.
Is that a bird?
That bird was not fazed by the UFO. That
And
was
yeah, the
fun.
weather really cooperated that day. You know, we were worried about not only rainfall, but also thick cloud cover, and it shaped up to be just a gorgeous day, and Mother Nature gave us just perfect viewing conditions.
We said arguably the nicest day of April by far. How lucky
It
is
really
that?
was.
So for people who always say we get cruddy weather around here, yes, but for one instance, it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, we had a great video that was actually sent in to me, too, as well, from the shores of Lake Erie out on the beach that showed that moment of totality, and it was really just a stunning. You could see the shadow moving across. We were a little concerned initially about those cirrus clouds, but I think that actually enhanced the effect because we could see the shadow as it moves across those clouds. And here we go.
There it
You're
is.
about to see the moment of totality.
Oh, goosebumps.
Wow.
I remember watching that darkness come from the horizon. I was telling people around me, I said, hey, see over there on the horizon, see that darkness? They're like, that's a cloud. I'm like, no. That is a shadow coming across the earth. That is the eclipse. They're like, huh? And you can physically, as you just saw in the video right there, sweep across the sky. Wow.
Well, we hope that this whole recap, but also our #1 event of the year that's now given us all chills, really has inspired you to appreciate how incredible the year was. It was awe-inspiring, it was unique, and it was, I'm going to argue, one of the best years that we maybe have seen in our lifetime.
Yeah, we are all expecting another action-packed year ahead for 2025, so bring it on.
This year will be hard to top, though.
Well, that's true. And remember, you can always watch or view again on WTOL 11+, and of course on WTOL.com.
Tell your friends, tell your family that this program is out there. Show them there. You can watch it on your schedule on WTOL 11+, and we're going to keep you informed in what's ahead in 2025 as well.
And don't forget, we want to see your photos throughout the year 2025 so we can share them right here again next year.
All right, from the full WTOL 11 weather team, we thank you for joining us.